In this video, we're going to be discussing the use of sodium hydroxide and or sodium bicarbonate to prepare the skin for extractions, and the process is called desincrustation. The word desincrustation, well, it's a combination, but we're not going to worry about that. But what you're doing when you're doing desincrustation is preparing the skin for extractions. Now, you're going to have one of two active ingredients: sodium hydroxide, which, remember, the chemical effect is to melt, liquefy, and dissolve that hardened mass of sebum that's in the pore. That hardened mass of sebum, if it's on dry skin, will be called milia, or closed comedones. If it's on oily skin, they will be called blackheads or open comedones. And the reason they're black is because the air can oxidize. So, when you cut an avocado, it has a tendency to turn black on top from oxidation. Scrape it off, and right underneath it, you have the fresh avocado again. So, if I just have clogged pores, which is very common, they don't have to be whiteheads, they don't have to be blackheads. Clogged pores are very common, normal, or any type of skin, and usually it's from our makeup or just the fact that we haven't exfoliated on a regular basis for our particular skin type. I can use sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, and both of these ingredients are alkaline. They fall on the alkaline side of the pH scale because they soften and swell. Remember the state board answer: if it's an alkali, it's always soften and swell. If it is an acid, it's always harden and shrink. They don't get into the specifics because that would be an individual, once again, product. For instance, Dermalogica uses what they call scaling fluid to do desincrustation. Their original formula had a pH of 10, okay? The current formula, they've reduced the pH to 8. And we'll kind of discuss that because it's important that you know the pH of the product. I recommend you make your own. If I'm going to use, and Dermalogica does use sodium hydroxide, okay, and of course 10,000 other ingredients. And it was very effective at a pH of 10, by the way. It was excellent. But it also was $40 for 8 ounces. So I can take a little bit of the relaxer that I just showed in the previous video, or you can buy sodium hydroxide off of Amazon, but get a really small amount because it'll last you forever. Even a small thing of baking soda will last you a long time, because when you're making the baking soda one, it's 8 ounces of water to 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which gives you a pH of 8. If you want a pH of 10, you're going to add enough baking soda, remember, to use your pH papers and get it to the pH that you want it to be. So making your own is not difficult. You would use purified water and baking soda. That's all you need. If you're using sodium hydroxide, it is a minuscule amount. When you're like 3 or 4 grains, it's not even as much salt as you would put on your food. It's very tight. pH of, remember, it's 14, and its pH of water is 7. So if I only add a tiny, tiny bit, it's going to raise the pH significantly. So you have to be very careful when you're doing your own, and you have to do the pH. You must know. So the desincrustation lotion is used in conjunction with your galvanic current. In Cosmo 30, you're shown how to use the galvanic current. Cosmo 38, you'll be shown how to use the high frequency and the galvanic. At 38B and C, it's a continuation. This is just the chemistry of your product. But when you're using it in conjunction with your galvanic current, the inactive electrode is wrapped in wet cotton, and it is always held by the client. Then you put the lotion on the areas that you want to extract, and using either the roller to push it in or the ball to get into the corners of the nose, because this area is very difficult to extract, and if I don't have a tool that can get into this area, then my disincrustation is not going to be as effective. Also, this area right in here, if you need to extract in that area. The galvanic current can be used by itself with only water, because the galvanic negative current, okay, is alkaline. As long as it's alkaline, I can use it on the skin and I'll be fine. So if you have a client who has super sensitive skin or is very allergic to stuff, then you can very easily just use the galvanic current with water, and you'll get that softening and swelling effect. The skin is going to soften, the pores are going to expand minusculously, very tiny, okay, but it will enable you to release the impacted stuff in the pore a lot more easily. You don't just start punching around on your face. It needs to be prepared, or you'll bruise your skin and break your capillaries. Very important. Now, it's also very important that you understand how to factor the pH scale, because let's just say that we're using an old formula, excuse me, and my formula has a pH of 10. As you can see, what I did is I put the factoring process underneath dry, normal, and oily skin. If I have dry skin, the 1 goes under the 4. If I have normal skin, the 1 goes under the 5. If I have oily skin, the 1 goes under the 6. To see what effect the disincrustation lotion has on this skin. So originally, Dermalogica's was 10. So let's just say that you made your own, and it doesn't matter whether it's baking soda or sodium hydroxide. Let's say the pH is 10. What that means is on oily skinned client, a pH of 7 is 10 times more alkaline than 6, than her face. So just water raises it to a 10. A pH of 8 is 100 times more alkaline than the oily skin at 6. A pH of 9 is 1,000 times more alkaline than 6. And a pH of 10 is 10,000 times more alkaline, and nothing can go to the skin exceeding 10,000, or you will get chemical burns. Now, on my dry skinned client, and let's just say that I had a buy one get one free special, and I have a mom who happens to have twins, and she goes, I need to make an appointment for extractions. One of my boys has dry skin. He's got little white bumps all over his face. Whitehead. Okay, the other one has oily skin and blackheads. And so you say, sure, I have a buy one, get one free. I'll do them both for the same price. Now I have a double client base, by the way, and that's a good way to advertise. A half price sale, I still only have one client. But if I have a buy one, get one free, I have 2 clients at the same price, so I've doubled my client base. If this client has 2 people and this client sends 2 people, you can see how you'll get a lot more clients with buy one, get one free. So she brings them in. I'm using Desincrustation lotion with a pH of 10. I put it on both of the children. Okay? The little guy who has dry skin gets a pH of 10,000 at 8. So he's going to get chemical burns, because a pH of 10, okay, is 1,000,000 times stronger than his pH. So he's going to burn, which is why Dermalogica reduced theirs to an 8. The new product has a pH of 8. So even if I'm using it on Melia, I can't burn the skin. But look what it does to my oily skinned client. It only raised them 100 to 100. That's not enough. It's not going to be nearly as effective. So now I need to make my own for this. So I need to understand that if the manufacturer tells me what the pH is, and they must, then I need to know how to factor it so that I don't cause chemical burns on my client. So when you get into Cosmo 38B and C, where you do more extractions and such, then you'll be able to apply this theory knowledge to your practical knowledge.